well played. After the frustration of the injury and a few weeks of not being out to help your teammates, how determined were you to be the difference today?
Yeah, very determined, and it's always any player will tell you it's always tough being injured. We've obviously had a lot of injuries this year, so it's, in the scheme of things, actually quite a short one turnaround in comparison to some of the other lads who like Vicario and Wilson Odobert, who are back today, had been months and months. So in terms of that, but listen, you miss one game or you miss 10 games, you're always chomping at the bit to get back. Obviously picked up a little calf injury in Hoffenheim, but I scored that day and I felt good. And sometimes when you feel like that scoring presence, you feel like you want to keep that momentum going. So I went into the game today because actually, to be fair, it wasn't that long ago that I played, 2.5, 3 weeks. I know I can be the difference here. So really nice to get on the score sheet again today, and really proud of the boys because obviously it's been a bit of a up and down season in the league. Probably not in the position where we want to be in terms of the league table. Simple as that. So. But yeah, really happy for the lads and for the fans today because it was a great atmosphere today, proper Premier League clash against a big team. So yeah, send them home happy.
It's obviously quite a simple finish, but is the key that you're the guy who's on the move, you're the guy who's alert?
Yeah, just being alive. You know, I've always been a goal scoring midfielder. That's what I'm in the team to. That's why Spurs brought me to the club. You know. So to be the difference for me is to score goals and create goals and be that creative outlet on the pitch. And scoring goals is one of them things that I just mentioned. So being alive in the box and trying to sniff out them free ones, it's just they count the same as the 25-yarders. So yeah, really happy with that one.
I have to say, I enjoyed your celebration. A very precisely thrown dart and then a finger to the lips. Directed at anyone in particular?
Just a little bit of outside noise, wasn't there, this week?
A little bit.
But nah, listen, people have their opinions, but I wanted to do my talking on the pitch today, so I hope there's a certain few that enjoyed me being the match winner today, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you put probably more pressure on yourself. I mean, I've interviewed you numerous times over the years. The most pressure on you comes from you, right?
Yeah, and no one's more critical of myself than me, you know. So outside gaffer, to be fair to the gaffer, he always talks about like blocking out the outside noise, but sometimes it's difficult, you know. It's constantly in your face and stuff.
But sometimes can you actually use it? Not forget blocking it out. Use it as motivation.
You can use it, but I think the gaffer prefers when we're just in our little bubble and listening to him and stuff. But sometimes it's difficult because it's constantly in your face these days with social media and WhatsApp, people sending stuff, and you do see it and it is there. So
it all gets fed through to your phone straight away, pretty much.
Sometimes, but especially when it's a big profile name. But listen, it's about responding in the right way, and I did that today. And like I said, I was the match winner, so really delighted.
For not just you personally, for the group, has there been a lot of noise to shut out? Because I mean, you said in one of your earlier answers, to this point, it hasn't been the season you wanted.
No, it hasn't. And to be fair to the boys that have been the boys that have been fit all season as well, that went. Listen, the gaffer spoke about it and we've spoke about it a lot. We don't want to make excuses, but the last few months have been really difficult for the football club. We didn't get many bodies in January, especially early January, and we had our physio room was it's not an excuse, but it was full of senior players. You could have put out a senior 11 that's very experienced in the Premier League. So the lads who were just relentlessly going in Europe, and we obviously went deep into the Carabao as well, every 3 days. It's nice to be an injured player coming back. I know I didn't have too much time out, but only a couple of weeks. But to take the pressure off them and give them a rest and give the other lads a boost. And I thought Vicario was outstanding as well today, coming back in. So just it's about us being present now and leading like they did. Even amongst the bad run, they were still there. They were still present. They were still recovering. They were still living right to try and give us the best chance of winning. We had a bit of a bad run in form, but there's obviously factors to that, so it's nice to be back and have a bit of a bolster to the squad with some injuries and see some happy faces. Yeah.
Well played, James. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
He's a popular figure, James Maddison, and really honest there as well about the noise, as he calls it, Berber. And sometimes, as a player in the modern game, you just can't escape it. They are human beings at the end of the day.
These days, you cannot escape it. It doesn't matter who you are, how tough you think you are. The noise is there. It's on social media. Your environment where you are, your friends, your agent or whatever, you're going to hear it. How you deal with it, it's up to you. You can block it if you can, but most case scenarios, it's difficult to do it, and I agree with him. You listen to the gaffer, boys try to block the noise, but sometimes it's ridiculous. We're all human beings at the end of the day. So To block all of it, it's not going to be possible. Just stay strong in your head. Of course, you're going to have bad games, miss a chance to score. But in the case of Spurs, if they have that consistency factor in check, I think the season for them is going to get better. Otherwise, the same.
Is that the ultimate mental test, though, as a player, when you get a message, oh, so-and-so's criticised you and so-and-so said this? And
who likes to be criticised anyway? We are sitting here talking about football. I try to find words sometimes not to sound too critical because we all been there, right? Nobody likes to be criticized. But sometimes when you watch the game and you analyze yourself, like he say, I am my worst critic, which is something that really good players tend to do. You go home, you analyze your game, you see what you've done wrong, try to correct it the next time. It's normal stuff. The noise outside of all this sometimes can interfere with your criticism and makes it even worse.
You criticised my suit earlier in the season, but I got away with it. I stayed mentally strong. In terms of a managerial situation, it's an even harder to get that group on side with all those factors now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's different, and I think the manager, what James was saying there, he tries to say, don't listen to the noise. I think for the modern day footballer, we didn't. We had papers. The next day, it was the papers where thousands might have read it.
You were marked out of 10, weren't you?
You know, yeah, you're marked out of 10, but I find with my experience of being a player and a manager, I think it's very difficult. It's not easy what I'm going to say, but you have to embrace criticism. If you embrace it, because you embrace when people talk good about you, you take that on, it gives you confidence. When someone has a go at you, if you can embrace that and turn it round and use it as a force to go out and prove people wrong, then you approach it completely different. I'm not saying it's easy, but with my experience at the end of my career, I actually sort of quite enjoyed if someone had a go at me, because it would just make me feel that let's take that in, let's think about it. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. That's a good point. And then go and say, right, I'm going to prove them wrong. But that comes with experience. There's a couple of 18-year-olds there for Tottenham, or any club. There's young players. That must be so hard at that age. When I think back when I was 18 playing, oh my word, that would have been so hard to get that on social media, and it would have affected you big time. So it's not an easy thing to do, but if you embrace how you approach something, you've got the choice. As Berber said, you've got the choice as a player. How are you going to look at that? You don't like it, but sometimes you get things in life that you don't like, you have to turn them round to stepping stones rather than a wall.
Like people say, you should have won 3 Ballon d'Ors, you only got 1.
4, maybe. See how I turned that round?
Yeah, exactly.
Turned it
That's the Glenn Hoddle school.
Exactly. I'm learning already. See, I'm listening and learning from the gaffer. Always did do. No, it's not easy. Everybody's different. And there'll be people watching the game, people watching and thinking, pressure, football, a little bit of criticism from the crowd, you should be able to deal with that. The money you get paid, there's people, all over the world in armed forces and things like that are, their life is, and kids aren't seeing it. But, there's all kinds of pressure throughout the world, throughout life. Footballers, yes, they're young and they're in the firing line a lot of the time, and they're getting judged not just every 3 or 4 days on the football pitch, but they're judged every second of their life. They walk into a shop, they walk into a club, they have a drink, they do whatever. They're getting judged all the time. Everyone thinks they know them, and the pressure is on. It's not a life that you can turn on and off. You have to live, the life for 15 years.
And I know we've spoken about this many times, but can anything prepare you for that? I mean, under this man on the international stage, your life turned overnight into a completely different life at 18. Can anything prepare you for that?
Your upbringing, I suppose, but nothing's going to say, hey, we'll bring you up like this and now watch the change. You will naturally either have your feet on the ground, you'll naturally either step out of line a little bit, and your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister will knock you back into shape. So that happens throughout your life. Some people are fortunate enough, because it's sometimes not your choice, your upbringing. So some people are fortunate enough to be able to have the coping strategy, maybe. But then there will be injuries, then there will be lack of form, then there'll be people booing you or having a go at you in the street or things like that. And it's not the norm. It is a unique lifestyle that footballers live. So you have got to cope with it however way you can and whatever works for you. And nobody is, not everybody is the same.
Well, James Maddison, as he said, replied in the most positive manner today by putting the ball in the net. It turned out to be the only goal. We're not quite sure how in the game. But as he said, he was alive, on his toes in this situation.
He was, and I thought he was playing. Ange took him off after 63 minutes, and I thought, mate, he's playing too good for me at the moment. But he ends up the one that's lively. As this shot goes in there, he's the one that is on the front foot. He's actually reading the situation. None of the defenders have read. They find it very difficult to think. We've highlighted the fact that the United centre-backs, they're marking nobody. They're not up against anybody. They've got an overload with Son. That's how the shot comes. But look at Maddison now. Look, his front foot. He's leaning. He's leaning. Every Man United defender is square on. They're square on looking at the ball because they've got to try and block it. And it's difficult for defenders because nowadays they've got to put their arms behind their back as well for penalties. How are you going to get back and... it's not the easiest position to be in.
It's almost impossible to defend this one. It's a great save from Onana, to be honest. But then the reaction from the defender is basically none because it's very difficult, as you said. And Maddison is lively on his toes, anticipating the game, reading the game, where to be, how to touch the ball. But I think the communication between the defenders in United backline is crucial, and I don't think it's up the level that it should be. If you see someone free, tell your colleague, push wide, go cover him. Son was like 2 minutes alone, raising his hand, give me the ball, and nobody saw that and say, go and cover him. And because of Son, it's not a great shot on the ball, but still, that started from there.
And when you've got three centre-backs in there, that's when you've got to look over your shoulder. When you're the outside ones, you look over your shoulder and send people out there. Dallow's come in and tucked in when he didn't need to. I've got him, don't worry. And that's got to be done in a split second, of course. It's got to be done before the ball's crossed. That you have a glance and you say, I don't need you, get out, get out. So Dallow goes on to Son, flicks the ball out for a throw-in. That's a simple little thing, but it's big, it's massive. And that's how their goal was created in the end.
And listen, that back three's changed weekly, match to match since Ruben Amorim came in. Nobody's been able to get a partnership between the three of them, any understanding, and in that split second, can that play a part?
In certain ways, we're covering people and understanding each other's game, things like that. But
there's been no consistency back
there. No, there hasn't. But in the basic principles, you can say, you two go and play up front, me and Berber go and play up front. Well, I think he's a top player. I'm going to understand most of him before I even start. The little bits around the edge where I need to understand his game a little bit, that will come. But the basics of him holding the ball up, the basics of me following in when a shot's... The simple basics...
So that's basics for you?
Core, yeah.
Page one?
Yeah. When someone has a shot and you're not even marking anyone in the first place, you've got nothing to do anyway. You watch the ball go over and then you watch the... And there's three of them just watching the whole thing.
Can I ask you a question, you guys, right? We've been in clubs when we're players. Long time for me, long time ago. How many times have you seen a coach or coaches or get your back players and do a drill when they're following the shot that's going, just on their own, without attackers or anything? We see, as the shot goes in, your attackers go and follow in, get your tap in. But how many times over the years do you get a section of players there, defenders? We're going to have a shot at goal, spin, get in there, be the first. Never. No one does it.
No, you just think it would be ingrained into you. I was always taught... If my dad told me one thing was follow the goalkeeper in. If the goalkeeper ever parried it and I weren't there, my dad would have a go. He didn't tell me anything else about, a lot else about the game, but always follow it in. And you would have thought same would apply. If someone has a shot, you would have thought, well, I'm not getting that. The first reaction is to turn and to go and follow in the bits, but obviously it didn't.
We will come back to that in a moment, but we can go live to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and speak to the Spurs goalkeeper. What a day he had on his comeback. Guglielmo Vicario, great to see you. 6 saves today. How did that feel to be back in it, get a clean sheet and get a win?
Thank you very much. It's been a good evening here at the stadium. My first game after a while. A tough one, a big win, of course. To win against Man U is always tough. They are a very good side, so we are very very proud of ourselves. But like I said, is just a small step. Now it's on to us to keep going and to find the right way to keep this momentum up.
And like I say, 6 saves you made today, some terrific ones in there. That's the 3rd most you've made in a Premier League game, I'm reliably informed. And there was no problem with your sharpness today, Guglielmo.
Yeah, you know, at the beginning, you know, after 3 months, with two screws in a ankle, maybe sometimes you feel I don't know if you're ready, but yeah, it's been I can say another debut, you know, because after a big injury, it's like a new debut. So I'm very happy to help the team today, and of course I have to give a lot of compliments to my team and for the effort they put into the game. They've been outstanding. They always believed we could win this game. So a big pride for what they delivered today.
Guglielmo, it's Michael Owen speaking. Well done today, great performance. I was just wondering, whenever I got injured in my career, I found 2, 3, 4 games for me to get back to my best. What did you do in training, or how do you come back still at the same top level that you left?
Oh, thank you, but it's just one game of football, you know, and now it's yeah, of course I take the results, I take the good feelings of today. So yeah, of course, and I can say I'm not at the 100%. Of course, today I had some good save, but still a lot of work to do. Of course, has been 11 tough weeks of work, also after the surgery, to deal with this setback. Was my first big injury of my career. So just believe in the hard work. Thanks to my coaches, especially to my goalkeeper coach and the way he believes in me. Thanks also to the gaffer in the way he wants me, you know, to be one of the guys into the dressing room. So these emotions, these feelings for me are very important, and I can feel this since day one after the injury, and I took that into every session I had before this comeback.
Guglielmo, Glenn Hoddle here. Congratulations on the 3 points today. Was it also very difficult mentally to come back? Because the team have a high line. They play such a high line. You've always got to be mentally alert. Was that something that you had to really work on before you came back?
Yeah, but it's tough to replicate, you know, in training also with the runs of course that the opponent can make. So I can say this aspect is the toughest to replicate in training, because you know you can replicate just playing games, and to adapt, you know, and trying straight away to go back in the mentality and the mindset of the team, of course, is what I love to do, is what is one of the, you know, sensation and the motivation that I play also for this football club. I love we deliver this style of football. I love to be the keeper of this football club, and for this manager, because he's trying to do and to deliver not average, you know, performance of football. He's trying to do something different, something special. Sometimes of course we can lose game of football because it's a sport. You play against an opponent, they are the same level as you, but of course, for me today is a big day. I'm very glad to be back with the team, and yeah.
And overall, finally, not just you, but 4 others in the squad today back on the pitch. I mean, there's finally some light at the end of the injury tunnel.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. We miss still some lads. Of course, Mick is still out, but we're waiting for him. Cuti Romero, also Timo Werner, Dom Solanke. So we have other lads that we are waiting for to coming back. And when we are all together, I think this is a big family. This is a big football club that believes in what the manager wants from us. And of course, when we are everyone all together, everyone is fit, we can reach something special.
Terrific. Well, all done today. Really good performance, and thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy that, Guglielmo Vicario. Interesting to hear him talk about the spirit and togetherness when everybody's fit. He's very confident they'll move up the table.
Of course, it's important for the team and environment that the team is to have the support of everybody around you. But sometimes with football players, I can vouch for me. When I was injured, I don't know more about you or Glenn. I was injured. It was the worst part of my life. You know, you see the boys training, go out. You want to help them. You want to be there with them. You know that you need to support them in any way. But then, with me, it was like, man, I need to get as much as possible there. To get there and to be fit again. And my mood was not the best one around the team, to be honest, because I was injured and I cannot help my team with what I can do, if you know what I mean, right? And when you are injured and when you have your teammates around you, it's really important to give them the support, go out there, play, I'll be ready, I'll come and help you as well. And I'm really happy that the guys with Spurs are coming slowly from injury. I hope they stay like this, because otherwise Spurs will have problems and they need to find the consistency, I'll repeat again.
Yeah, and he's such an important figure back there. I mean, we were counting his saves, and you turned to me at one stage and said, then they're big saves as well. They weren't just routine ones.
Well, this is it. For me, it's a clean sheet, but my word, he's had to make, 4 one-on-one type of saves when he's the last resort, you know, and that happens time and time again because, like he said, the way the manager wants you to play. And to be honest, they are too open sometimes. You will score goals again. It's a clean sheet, but my word, it was built on the back of his saves. It wasn't built on a real stout defensive display where they all chip in. It was down to the keeper because there was too many chances created against you.
But if the goalkeeper is one of the men of the matches, let's say, and he the highlighted, what does it say about the team, though?
Yeah, exactly.
And the team still wins, but what does it say about them?
Yeah, but on another given day, as I said earlier, that they could have won that 3 or 4. They could have lost that quite easily from the 1-0 up. And let's face it, they played them in the cup there, and they were coasting 3-1 with 10 to go, and then it becomes a panic because they let 2 goals in. That is Tottenham at the moment. That's how Ange wants to play, and he's prepared. He says he loves playing that way. That's why I asked him about the high line, the mentality. Because he has to make weldies, 3 or 4 weldies every game. That can't be, for me, that can't be right. And another given day, they're going to go in the back of the net.
Yeah, and just to put that into context, the first time that Spurs have kept back-to-back league clean sheets since October 2023. But they did, and they got back-to-back wins as well. And here's their manager, Ange Postecoglou.
Well, Ange, after the rest and the reset, how important was the result?
Yeah, well, it was everything, I guess. You know, we kind of know our league position's not anywhere where it should be, and today was an opportunity for us to start addressing that. Like we said, we had a good week of training, we got some players back, and important we won today. Yeah,
it was pretty direct evidence of what you've been missing. James Maddison scores the winning goal, and Guglielmo Vicario, I don't think he was player of the match in the end, but he must have been pretty close to it.
Yeah, no, they're quality players, and we've had to do it pretty tough for the last 2.5 months, not through the lack of effort or trying from the lads, but yeah, just great to get those guys back, and even the guys who sort of came on and were able to contribute. Important, like I said, for us to gain some traction today. We can play better, definitely, but I think we will, once we get some boys up to speed and start growing into it.
Did you see other evidence, maybe bits that someone like me wouldn't pick up, of the difference having fresher players, slightly more full strength team makes? I don't know, maybe in the way you pressed, maybe in the way you built up.
You're a smart bloke, mate. You can see these things.
And you're the first person to say that.
Okay. Probably says more about me than anything else. No, look, I do think our press was a lot better than it has been in recent weeks. I thought it made it hard for sort of Man United to get out, and that certainly helped us get a grounding in the game where we could play the game in their half. And yeah, look, we looked a little bit sharp. I still think our front third movements were missing a bit. Obviously, look, Maddie's just joined the club, and obviously with Maddison been out for quite a while, I felt we lacked a little bit of fluency in that front third. Having said that, we still created some chances, and yeah, look, we'll improve. We need to, but it was a decent effort.
Is the thing with the injuries, players come back, but form, confidence, all those intangibles, they don't just rush along back with the players?
Yeah, I don't think it's confidence. I think they're all sort of really keen to get out there, but there is a game rhythm which only comes by playing games. Every football will tell you the same thing. As much as you train, playing a game of football is a lot different. But having said that, I thought Vic and Matt has handled it really well, and it was great to get some time into guys like Brendan and Wilson. Destiny's ready to go, and we're not too far away from a couple of others, so we're going to need them. We still feel like we've got a big back half of the year and some real opportunity, so that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, I know I said it in my first question, but was it a really big day to win? Because when you spent the week, you did a great job in your press conference of making it feel more positive again, but when you've done that and you've talked up the importance of players coming back and having the break. If you then don't get the result, it's a bit of an uh-oh kind of moment.
Yeah, I'm sure most people were tuning in for that, to be honest. Everyone likes a little bit of a impending car crash, so I'm sure we had a lot of people, willing that sort of scenario on. But look, for me, it doesn't really change. The reason I was positive is because I just, I know how hard these players have worked for the last 2.5 months without great reward. They got help this week in terms of our schedule, but also players coming back. Our training was better. I was confident that we'd put in a good shift, and more importantly, we'd get the result.
Yeah, and just on the injuries, it was fascinating during the week hearing you talk about like Mickey van der Ven working on his mechanics, the time you're taking with Romero, with the players coming back now. Can you just tell us about maybe what you've learned, how you've adapted in terms of finding solutions to what has been obviously a long-running injury issue? Yeah, look,
again, it's hard to sometimes do that in the midst of competition because the focus is still on trying to win games of football. But in the background we're doing sort of our own, looking into ways we can do things better. But we're not going to be the only ones. I've foreshadowed this for a while, and there'll be a few that come to my world in the next period, and people will see that it's sometimes not just a reflection of the people involved, but a reflection of the circumstances you've been dealt with.
So do you feel like that? Because we are seeing it at other clubs, and they probably have all season, that there's a wider issue there. I mean, you've had it in a lot of your press conferences. It's been put to you that the style of play, the way you press, the energy you put in. Yeah. If you're top of the pressing league, you're going to be quite high in the hamstring league as well.
To a certain extent, but what flies against that is we've had quite a few players who haven't got injured at all and played the whole season. In fact, played more football this year than they have in their whole careers. So it's not just that. It's more than that. That's a factor, obviously, in the way we play. But other clubs don't play like us, and they're starting to accumulate the toll of no rest for the players between seasons and the accumulation of fixturing that's making it awfully difficult for everyone.
Genuine light at the end of the tunnel this time? Not another train?
Who knows? But, look, as I said, we feel, and I certainly feel, that there's still a massive opportunity for us this back half of the year. Obviously Europe, but even in the league to make some inroads, and hopefully today's the start of that.
Thank you, Ange.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, Ipswich away next. And your point is it has to be the start of something, of some consistency for Tottenham to make inroads up the league, like he says.
I don't know, Steve. We spoke about this so many times, how the way Spurs can beat big teams, lose points against smaller opposition, vice versa. And it's all the time is the same. High expectation when the season starts. Everybody expecting they win something. In the end of the day, in the end of the season, they're around middle table. So it's difficult for me to say, is it the start of something? Because when they lose the next game, it's going to be the same over and over again. So I think they should go game by game, especially with all the injuries that they had and still missing some key players, and keep their heads down, work, get the points. In the end of the season, hopefully they'll be top 10, let's say.
He's quite bullish, isn't he, about the injury subject, shall we say, when he said a lot of people are going to come into my world, and see it's about circumstances.
Yeah, and maybe. I mean, if I was a Spurs fan, I wouldn't be watching today and thinking, oh yeah, there's a turn, we've turned the corner. I mean, they were pretty average today. It was an average game, I felt. Yeah, a bit of action, it was
in terms of high quality, you're talking.
In terms of quality, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be really confident about them going to Ipswich away next at all. So the only good thing is they have got players back. They've got players coming back, and that will inevitably strengthen them. However, just on that one performance today, are Spurs back? Have Spurs turned a corner? No way. No way. They, against a decent team, which United are not at the moment, against a decent team, they would have been beaten. They could have got beaten today by a very average team. So no, they're not back at all. But they could get close to that if their players come back.
I think we saw Liverpool today, and we've seen Arsenal do it today. Spurs, the way Ange wants them to play, cannot play indifferent, not play too well, and grind a result out. That's not the way they play. For them to win, they have to play open football and they have to score more than the others. They get 3. They give 2 goals away, they've got to get 3. That's his philosophy. They got a clean sheet today, but actually they could have conceded 3 quite easily. So they're never going to grind and get up that league in a way. in a way that you don't play so well today. No, we were tight, but we were good the way we defended. We hit them on the counter. We took our chances, and we got the 3 points. That's never Tottenham. It's never going to be under Ange Tottenham, that. So you're going to get consistency. The only consistent thing about Tottenham is the way they're going to play, open. The other thing is, I don't think we can judge the team where it ends up over the season until everyone's back fit again. A fit Tottenham squad, with everyone playing in there, they would not be sitting where they were today. And even where they are now, they would be still up there challenging for the Europe and whatever. So, yes, the injuries have had that impact, but it is difficult when you've got those limited amount of players to be consistent. When you've got Archie Gray playing 17 games on the spin, playing out of position, and Bergval's come on and gained as a player because he would have been a sub coming on and sort of blending him into the squad. But they've been on full throttle with the way they've had to play with every player, and that's why they've ended up injury after injury, because it's the fatigue levels have just hit them.
And on that, people do grab the opportunity, and Jed Spence, it certainly comes into that category. Named man of the match today. Is he benefiting from a real run of games in a Tottenham shirt?
Absolutely. He's a right back, really, and he's playing left back. And look at him here. He's got he's got a turn of pace on the ball, with the ball. He runs with the ball so quickly, and he's got this little bit about him that can jink and turn. He's got a little twist in him, and he's playing out on that left-hand side. Look, he's not a left footer, but he can actually get into dangerous positions and deliver crosses. And he's doing okay defensively as well. Look, this is where he's good. Look, uses his pace to get away, makes a great little blindside run, creating space for your teammate. And I think since the Coventry game in the League Cup, he came in, did well, he stayed in the team. Be interesting to see if Ndogi, when he's fit, plays ahead of him or not.
But that's how you take your chances. You get into the team, you show how good you can be, and he's full of energy. He reads the game well as well. He can bully the opposition. He's not afraid to go into the challenges. So look at this, reading the game, trying to go and put his body on the line for the team.
He's also got a bit of presence as well.
Yeah,
he's a strong lad. Look at his the ground he's covered there is brilliant. Be it all down the left side, and that's where he should be. But particularly the way United played today, they were a little bit lopsided. So he ended up he was the get-out ball for Spurs. He had a lot of possession.
OK.
Ruben, obviously disappointing to come away with nothing, even more so given all those good chances that you had today as well.
Yes, I think it was the difference of the game. They score, we didn't score. We had opportunities to score. Then in the first half we push a little bit harder. We had the situations. We suffered some transitions because we were trying to get the results, but in the end they score. We didn't.
We know all about the issues you've had this week with injuries and illness and what that's done to your squad. How difficult was it to prepare for today, given all of that?
It doesn't matter. It's in the past. Now we want to recover the players. I think we can recover some players for the next game. And from this moment until the end of the season is going to be like that. So we have to be together to finish the season and then start over.
Apart from Lindelof, all the players on your bench were teenagers who'd never played for the club before. Have you ever had a situation like that before?
In the former club, I had it, but it is completely different because this is the hardest competition in the world, and they are playing in one competition that is not too strong. So I'm trying to be careful with them, and also I felt the team was pushing for the goal, and I don't want to change, but they will play. So they have to be ready.
Yeah, so were you tempted to use any of the players? I know you made a late substitution, but earlier on, were you thinking about bringing any of them on?
Yes, of course. You try to read the game, you try to understand what you see in trainings, but again, I felt that the team was trying to get a goal. We were pushing for that, and I didn't feel the need to change.
And I know that you said before this game that both managers are under a bit of pressure, but you feel under bigger pressure because you're at the bigger club. Does this add to the pressure, or do you think the circumstances, given the players you're without, means that people can see that?
No, I'm not worried again. Of course, I understand our fans and what people and media think about it. I just want to finish the league strong. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about the club. I'm worried about the team, the players. So for me, it's the same. I just hate to lose. That feeling is the worst thing. The rest, I'm not worried about. I just want to help my players, to help these young kids in this moment and to win some games.
So you're not feeling the pressure because you understand and trust the process and you're looking towards the future?
I'm just focused on helping my players. I understand my situation. I understand my job. So I'm never worried about that. I'm really confident on my work. And I just want to win games. I'm more concerned about the club, the situation that we are in, the place in the table. That is my worry. I'm not slightly worried about me.
Of course, he wants to win. It's the number of defeats that is alarming and worrying at the moment. 12 of them, the most at this stage of a season since 1973-74, and 8 of them in the last 12 games, Berber. And when you're in a run like that, I mean, you can see today at times, we talked about the finishing, the confidence, the momentum, the rhythm just isn't there.
I think he should be concerned about the situation that the team is right now, and they need the points. It doesn't matter what is happening, what the coach is saying, or media, or we, the points at this moment in this stage of the Premier League, it's crucial for United. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about surviving in the Premier League, which for United is a shame. And they go next to play Everton away, which is going to be a tough game for them. So it's about the points. I don't care how you change the system, the points are the most important. And sometimes, even today with Spurs, yes, they have played ugly as well, Spurs average, but they managed to win the game. So sometimes that's what you need. You get ugly win, but you get the 3 points. And United is in this situation right now where they need the points urgently. So that's the most important.
And in those 14 league games, he's managed to win just 4 times. I mean, nobody could have expected that when he arrived.
Not at all. I mean, I thought right at the outset, I liked what he was saying, everything added up. But at some point, you have got to start questioning. And I think we're getting to that point, if we're not already there. You know, his fans, people that like him and you know, want to give him loads of time, will point to the fact that it's not his team. He's had one transfer window when their hands were pretty tied anyway. And this manager will need a few transfer windows and time to see progress. His critics will actually say, well, hang on a minute, you know, coaches nowadays have got to get the best out of what's already there. Before you can start spending hundreds and hundreds of millions, you've got to prove that you can deal with what's in front of you and actually improve it. And he's not done that.
No, because some people would point to the fact, as we've discussed before, his first 14 games have yielded less points than Erik ten Hag's final 14 with the same players.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to start asking questions at some point. Now, I'm a fan of his. I like what he says. I like, you know, his demeanour. I like his confidence. I actually quite like the way this is the way I'm going to play, and I'm going to play this no matter what. And he's steadfast in his authority and his vision, let's say. But I keep going back to it. You know, one of the first principles of a manager, you've got to do the best with what you've got in front of you. I don't care how good or bad those players are, get the best out of them. And I don't think he's doing that at the moment. And that is a problem. And now whether he does need to change the system or does need to change something, that's open for debate. But at the moment, I've been a big fan of his right from the start. And, you know, but even I'm starting to say right now, you know, you've got to start getting results, because you can't just keep thinking, oh, it'll be next year and the year after. And you know, a week is a long time in football, not waiting for years and years.
The question for me is whether he's going to change. It's not whether
I think he's answered that, Glenn, hasn't he?
No, but a good manager, you've got to be flexible with what you're seeing on the pitch. I like him off the pitch, but off the pitch is off the pitch. You've got to do the results. I see flaws in some of the tactical things he's doing in that shape with these group of players. So if it's not suiting them, your test and your question is, are you going to change? Are we going to play with the back four? Are we going to go different so we can press together? Today they were too lopsided, and there was an easy get out for Tottenham. They had too much space on the ball, particularly in the first half. Are you going to change? There's the question mark. Not, shall we sack him? That's not going to come into it. He does need 2 or 3 windows. It is, are you going to look at this and say, how can I'm protecting my players. I want to work for my players. He's just said, players love winning football matches. Is this the best way? 14 points out of 42 possible. Is that a template to say, let's get the best out, this is getting the best out of the players? No, it's not. Everyone can see that. You've got to adjust, you've got to change, you've got to make sure, if you're going to play Xerxes off the front, you've got to protect that position around him. So it means playing a back 4 and playing differently, slightly differently, if that's what you're going to play. So there's so many questions. I'm thinking, I'm not seeing it on the pitch. I'm not seeing the tactical. It's like, that's how we're playing. 3 at the back, 5 at the back, normally when they defend, where they can't get pressure. If you play 5 at the back, most teams playing 5 at the back now, they're going to drop to the halfway line and press and be difficult to beat. Now, that's different. But I don't see that. I see half a team they're in between pressing and this back 5. You can push a back 5 back. If you put the 2 wide men right up the pitch, there becomes 3 centre-backs marking 1 striker. You're outnumbered. You can't press. These are the things, there's massive holes in there to play through United. And I'm thinking to myself, no, don't wait for next year, because these players, if you want to protect them, they want confidence. They can't wait for their next win. Everton away. Oh, tough game.
Go on, Berba.
Sorry, just quickly, because that begs the question again. If you continue with the same system, which doesn't get the best out of your players, and you keep losing points, where does it end? When is the moment where you say, all right, I must admit it's not working, we need to change, otherwise we're going to get into big trouble?
I'll tell you where it ends. When they get 4 points. When they get 3 or 4 points from the drop. That is when the alarm bells are going. The thought of Man United getting in a relegation and possibly going down. That's when he goes, oh, I'll have to change it now. That's the question now. It's intriguing for me. From the manager's point of view, I'm thinking, he's got to change it now. Well, he's 10 points clear from the drop zone. So he's got a little bit of got more than a little cushion. He's got a cushion. No, but you lose at Everton and you lose the next one, and Wolves go and win their next 2 games, they're back in there, in it.
In his mind, do you think he's thinking that changes, get me to the end? I mean, he mentioned the end of the season twice there.
Yeah.
I mean, OK, we're in the second half of the season, but we're not near the end of the season. We're not even in the running.
You wouldn't want to hear that as a fan.
You wouldn't want to hear that. It's almost like he wants to go, right, let's finish this season and let's start. And that, to me, feels like the end in his mind. So then, OK, we can start buying a few players that fit my system.
Yeah.
Not, I'm going to change my system. I'd be astonished if he changes his system with what he said.
He's actually got 2 trophies to go for still as well. More than some managers have got in the league. Yeah. Whether they can go all the way and win them is another, but they're still in it. Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons why he's got to get it right now. Not just let's survive. We're not going to get too far up the league, but we'll survive. We'll be okay. We're not going to go down. This is all about next year. They've got 2 trophies to go for.
And from a player's point of view, Berber, if you were in that squad and you see him come in and he changes the complete system and what he's asking each player to do, but then you've lost 8 of 12 league games as a Manchester United player, would that be a difficult sell to you, to be convinced that this is the road to go down?
For sure, because you're going to see the table, you're going to see the results, you're going to see and judge yourself how you play in that system, for example. You're going to see that you're not giving your best because either the system is not good for you, either you're playing out of position. We are circling back to Xerxes playing out of position, running all over the place, looking lost, so you cannot use his best qualities. The same for Højlund, and I'm looking at the striker, obviously, because I was a striker. Højlund, again, wasting all his energy going back, tracking to covering the space because the 5 defender are pushing back. Then the midfield is too far away from each other. There's holes into there, so they need to cover. Then going forward, you're wasting of your energy. And if you play in the team like this, of course you're going to be bad for your mentality. You start asking questions. Maybe the more experienced players can go to the coach, say, boss, gaffer, it's not working. Yeah, we're talking between each other.
I wonder if Maguire or Fernandes would actually go to him. They're experienced players. Yeah. They've been captains on the pitch. Gaffer, I know you want to do that maybe next season or whatever, but we need help. If he wants to help them, we've got to change it, surely. Or can you think about it? Or I don't know whether they've got that relationship with the manager yet. I don't know.
Or vice versa, he goes to them.
Or he goes to them.
Boys.
Yeah.
You're happy what's happening, let's talk, let's speak, let's find a solution together. We are in this together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Well, it never would have happened. You'd never be brave enough under Sir Alex Ferguson, but you might be under this manager, I don't know. Would you have done it with Fergie?
Oh, not me. You had more experience.
Maybe players might have done it at the beginning of Fergie's reign, because it wasn't all hunky-dory at the beginning. He was that far away from getting sacked, actually. So he might have had a conversation with certain players, and the rest is history. But if you sat Fernandes down now today, and after that 90 minutes, he was the one that had to cover so much ground to cover where Zirkzee was going to play. They played him just off in there. So, who's going to cover the right-hand side of the pitch? This is just an example. Look at Fernandes. He's having to come out to the full-back areas. It leaves Casemiro on his own in that midfield. And Zirkzee, it's not his fault, Zirkzee. He's in that position because that's how the manager wants him to play. Fernandes having to cover, look, Spence, he was man the match, Spence, but he had a lot of space to run into. Look, he can't stay with him. He's taking all his energy. Fernandes is one of the best players on the ball. He had no energy left. Look, where's the furthest player on the right? It's Fernandes. He has to go across to him, then he comes back out. No one there, there's no winger there, so he has to do the job, and he's asked to play in midfield and create, and it's so lopsided. I don't get it. That is where I'm questioning the manager a little bit.
Your centre midfielder should never, ever be going and closing down a full-back. I mean, it could happen once in a game if someone's out of position.
Exactly.
But that was the plan, wasn't it, I suppose? Whenever he gets it, he was the nearest player, or if there was a plan.
That was the question we said before the game. We asked, we said about where's he going to play, Zirkzee? Is he going to, if he plays out wide, will he track all the way back? And that's why the manager knew he couldn't play him there, because he weren't going to track Spence. And that was the thing we were talking about before the game. So in the end, it's been Fernandes who's your best player on the ball. Was that to cover so much ground, and we hardly saw him on the ball, did we?
Where he's very good on the ball.
Absolutely.
So the players are not using their strong quality.
Yeah.
And then it's suffering.
And as you two well know, if you don't score goals, you're not going to win games. 10 times in the Premier League, Manchester United have not found the back of the net, and they had 2 glaring opportunities again today. But this is a real worry. That's crazy numbers, Berber.
Well, especially the Garnacho chance. I think that, like we spoke before, in my opinion, this is where we differ with Glenn a little bit. I think because he was overconfident that he can score that easily. With that, it's a great ball. Now he have all the time in the world. He wanted to put with the precision and more power. Maybe he put a bit too much power on the ball and went over the top.
But that's a player for me, mentally. He had one, you said the stat, 1 goal in the last time.
And no 17 without a goal.
Exactly. That tells me it's in his head. That ball comes to him, he's frozen, he's thinking, I'm desperate to score.
What about this one from Zirkzee, chaps?
It's a good chance, this. Yeah, a good chance. We saw... Well, yeah, I mean, he's there, he's 6 yards out, he gets enough on it, it's a big chance.
Maybe a bit difficult, though. Or maybe he didn't believe enough that he can get you there. Maybe he didn't believe enough that I can get to the ball, like Duncan Ferguson, for example. Back
but this is what he's got, gentlemen, because obviously Rashford and Antony have gone out on loan. The top scorer in the Premier League is Ahmad with 6, and he's out for the season. So this is what he's got to work with. Only Everton have scored, have gone more games without a goal in the Premier League this season than Manchester United, which is damning. So he has to somehow, with this set of players now, find a way of scoring goals and, as you say, winning matches.
And the other worry is that you've just mentioned 2 players. I saw more from Marcus Rashford in one half yesterday than I've seen all season for Manchester United.
And Anthony's had 3 successive man of the matches.
3 successive man of the matches. Where's he been all season? Should we go back for the last 10, 15 years? It's not just Amorim's problem. Manchester United, when they sign people, nobody ever says, oh, that's an awful signing. They turn awful quite quickly. I've said for a long time, I mean, before the game, we looked at all the signings that they've had. When they were signed for massive money, everybody was raving about them. The club at the moment just turns great players into bad ones. You know, you tell me one player that they've signed, probably Fernandes is their biggest success story in recent times. it's draining people of their confidence, draining them of their ability. And all of a sudden, that just spreads and spreads and spreads. And it's very, very difficult to be the only one, or one of only, 2 or 3 that are playing well in a club that's struggling, in a team that's got no confidence, in a team that's sacking managers all the time. It's just it's a graveyard at the moment.
That red shirt's becoming heavier and heavier.
I just got depressed more while hearing, because I need to admit, I completely agree with you, and it begs the question, why is it happening like this? Why? When you buy a good players or excellent players and they cannot perform, then you put them on loan, and all of a sudden they're back to themselves.
What's also hurtful for Manchester United is their noisy neighbours have gone like that within Manchester. That's a pressure on them as well.
Problems wherever you look, and it doesn't feel as if it's getting better. That's the problem. If Man United fans could see progression, then I'm sure they'd be patient. But it's getting worse, if anything, which is really sad.